Good evening, my beautiful people. Welcome to the Progressive. We have landed in presentation number 9. Number 10, communication skills. Very important. This is verbal communication, okay? Verbal, what I'm yammering on about. So, how do you develop verbal communications? Again, most people I have seen, especially from subcontinent and here and there, because English is not our first language, we're very poor in verbalizing stuff. It's not something bad. It's not, you don't have to beat yourself up upon it. You can always cultivate this stuff, okay? Don't beat up yourself. It's never worth it. Trust me. So go through this. I've captured all my practical experience, whatever I have done in the industry and how it has worked for me. It's a practical experience, by the way. This is not bookish knowledge. So check it out. Develop your verbal skills, verbal communication, and what are the tips you can take to become a better speaker. Okay? And leave your comments. I want your comments. So we come to the second module of communication. Enhancing verbal communication. How do we do that? This is the second one. Important points to pay attention to. First is the vocabulary. Increase your vocabulary. Read more books. Books is a better way, or the best way I have found to increase vocabulary. I was myself very, very poor in vocabulary once upon a time. Substantially improved. I can't say I'm the best, but getting there. Vocabulary is the set of words you have with you can express a thought, emotion, idea, task, request, commands, whatever it is. So you can express properly. You need to be able to use the right word for the right kind of communication that needs to be done. Words should be understood for what they convey and mean and how it should be used and expressed. Therefore, enhancement of your vocabulary, of your everyday communication is essential for you to become a good communicator. If you have only 10 words to play with, you won't be a good communicator because you're not expressing your ideas succinctly, precisely. So the accuracy of your expression will depend upon how much vocabulary or words you have to express similar kinds of feelings or similar kind of requests. Context is another important factor in the use of language. What kind of words should be used in what kind of interaction? In official communication, this matters a lot. What kind of words incite what kinds of effect or response on part of others? Very important. The presentation. How do you present communication to another? Or what is vital in every aspect of communication? How do you decide these things? What words do you stress on and why? What tone of voice do you use when communicating and why? For example, I need this presentation to be done by Tuesday, or I need this presentation to be done by Tuesday, or I need this presentation to be done by Tuesday, or I need this presentation to be done by Tuesday. See, the stress on everything is different and it means different things. The presentation is very important. To convey or stress upon what is it that you are needing or desiring here. The means of communication. These days you have plenty of means. You have just about every kind of audio, video, chat. You've got MS Teams, you've got Google Talk, Google Duo, Google Meet, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, you name it. You've got so many ways of communication, but still people can't communicate properly. Why? Because they have not dealt with these other things, vocabulary, the context, the presentation. Should you communicate via phone or face-to-face and why? How do you select the means of communication and why? When do you use phones and when do you use face-to-face communication? We are talking about verbal here, so we'll come to the written part later. Yeah? Verbal communication, vocabulary at work. So these are the broad categories I have put, because there are a lot more maybe you can think of. Requests, asking, providing information, support. You make requests. Could you provide me this information, or could you share this information with me as request? Information sharing. Well, I'd like to offer you this, or this is what my project document says, or this is what my financial statement says. You're conveying, explaining, analyzing. Stating, conveying, explaining, analyzing. That's information sharing. Questioning, inquiring or probing. Do you question things? Those kinds of communication you should be using in the vocabulary then. Paraphrasing. Now this is not something we typically Indians are used to, but this should be, in my opinion. They're very bad at paraphrasing. That means you say something, other person is not understood. You need to provide more clarity. You need to provide clarity. You need to provide priority, prioritizing. Illustrations. For example, you give a metaphor or a simile. This and this happens. You give illustrations of where and how. Summarizing. You need to summarize things, not go on and on about things. Right? Then the last one being suggesting. What do you suggest? You suggest alternatives. You advise. You emphasize. You encourage. You project. So all of these things amount to suggesting. Important for you to keep notes of this and research more on the net and see how and where it applies to you. These will apply to all kinds of verbal communication. Yes? So the points to ponder about verbal communication are these. Some important pointers. There are a lot more you can research on the net, but improve your verbal communication first. Yes? Doesn't matter what job you are doing, even if it requires minimal interaction with people, improve your communication. The word can and can't should be avoided, since can or can't suggests whether one has or has not the capacity or knowledge or is responsible enough to do the work, and assumes in the question that one is not. Can you do this? Can you do that? Well, I can. I don't have the information, or I don't have enough knowledge about these things, but I certainly can. Everybody certainly can do things. So avoid those words can. The word will and won't should also be avoided in communication, since will or won't suggest whether one will or will not do something. Use collective rather than singular as often as possible, like could we, should we do this, could we do this, in place of I or you, since it promotes collaboration with the other person, teammate, etc. Remember we spoke about collaboration and cooperation. Remember that in any organization, you're always part of a team or a group or a department. In that sense, you're always requiring some form of support from others to be a team player. When dealing with humans, always use soft language, since we are emotional beings. You are, I am, everyone is. Because of which each of us is sensitive to how and why information is being given, when it is being given, how we are being spoken to, what the emotion is being conveyed even through work, via language. Very important to remember these things. Always assume positive about the other person and use such language which assumes that the other person is good, capable and a professional. For example, assume that they overlooked accidentally, not deliberately. This is a common mistake made by people. You did not take care of this, or you did not take care of that. Rather than saying, could it be, have you looked into this document, or have you looked into that document? And not deliberately. Yes? Don't assume bad in people. Assume they did not have the time rather than assuming they are careless. Assume they require information rather than assuming they are stupid or ignorant. In other words, assume that every human is inherently good, and given proper circumstances, interactions, information, they would always cooperate and collaborate with you. Always. Remember that whole paragraph. Always. Remember, everyone is working beside you in an organization and is in a circle. How you interact and collaborate and cooperate comes back to you in the same way. What you give out comes back, right? So use your verbal communication skills to always enhance, support, and collaborate with others, which is always good for you every day at work, enhances your experience and skills as a worker. Take care of your daily work, and your quote-unquote career will take care of itself.